Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this exciting live chat session. Today we have a very special guest, one of South Africa's most talented filmmakers, a visionary director, and the creative force behind some of the most entertaining action comedy films, including the Run for Your Life series. Mr. Kumaran Naidu, how are you, sir?
Fine, thanks, Siddharth. Thank you for having me on your channel this morning.
You're most welcome. Okay, I'm quite fascinated to know what inspired you to continue the Run for Your series with the third installment.
So it had a huge following. When I did the first one, it was just out of fun. You know, I wrote it
Oh,
specifically for the old man. People know him as Perumal Govender. I wrote that movie specifically for him to bring out his comedic nature, and he did justice to the part. I must say, everybody loved him in the role and so forth. Then we did a part two, and people loved it as well. But I always keep my movies as sort of a twist in the end where people want more. So there's always a part three that needed to be finished.
hmm.
And I was basically bored in 2019. I said, you know what? Maybe it's nice to go back to this franchise because the last one I made was in 2007. So it was like over 12
Oh,
years. I said, okay,
hmm.
let's go back to the franchise. So I said, okay, fine. Um, it's time to wrap up that story. So that's basically what I did. People do like the action comedy in
Hmm.
an Indian way. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Uh, like my action comedies involve a lot of family stories, but also with the action and comedy.
Wow. Okay. Can you give us a sneak peek into the storyline of Run for Your Life 3? How does it differ from the previous films?
So I can't give too much away, but what I can tell you is that it's a story of a mix-up. Okay,
Oh,
it's very similar to the first one where there was a mix-up with the bags, but here there's no bags involved. It's a mix-up of identities, which is very hilarious. Okay, um, I'll give you a little bit away. So basically, there's a chef from India who's supposed to come and help a restaurant, but he
oh,
gets mixed up in a mafia gang war. So instead of going to the restaurant, he goes to the mafia side. And then there's a hitman that's supposed to go to the mafia, he goes to the restaurant. So that's a huge mix up over there. It's quite hilarious. That's the MacGuffin, you could say, of the entire story, with the mix up of the two Singh characters. One is a Singh who's a chef, the other Singh is a hitman.
okay.
And it does have a heartfelt story, behind it because it's about the story is about success, where a foreigner, an India person, from Malayam, he comes from India trying to make a life of himself in South Africa with his fantastic cooking. So having a restaurant in South Africa but being bullied by the local mafia is not so easy for him.
Hmm.
So it's a story of success. Yeah.
What challenges did you face while directing this film and how did you overcome them?
We had a lot of challenges because we shot this during the COVID time.
Oh,
And yeah, we shot this, we started in 2021 actually. I started auditions in 2020, but in 2021 I started to shoot. This was the longest production I ever had because it went over two
hmm.
years because of COVID. We started shooting, COVID hit us, we had to stop. In fact, one cast member actually came to shoot. He never told us that his family members were contaminated. And the very next day I fell ill, and that knocked me off my feet for 2 weeks. We like shut down production. A couple of other cast members got a little bit sick, but we recovered. It's fine. I had to change a few characters, or basically actors rather. The characters stayed the same.
Hmm.
So there were a number of challenges, but we managed to overcome it. So this movie was supposed to be released early 2024. So it
Oh,
has been pushed, yeah, and we only releasing it now, basically mid 2025.
okay. The Run for Your Life series had a unique mix of action and comedy. What can fans expect in terms of humor and action sequences in this film?
So I love humor. I love to entertain
Hmm.
people with humor. There is a ton of comedy in this film. Okay, some of
Hmm.
the comedy is witty, some of the comedy is in your face. There's a lot of action here as well. So obviously, it's not the Hollywood stunt action we're looking at. We tried to go for something a bit more realistic and
Mm,
relatable, something like that. There is a fight club, that kind of thing. If you watch the trailers, but it's something that's relatable. I think people must look at this as an entertaining film. It's
mm.
you can't take it as something. It's not a James Bond movie. It's not something on a different scale or level. It's just there for fun and for
Mhm.
entertainment. And I think if you go in watching that to say, listen, you're going to have a good time watching it. It's a popcorn movie. So you go there, you
Okay.
buy a popcorn, you are going to laugh your guts out. I guarantee you. It's like with Broken Promises 5. I told people you're going to laugh, and that's exactly what happened.
Are there any new characters or cast members joining the franchise? If so, what do they bring to the story?
So there's a ton of new cast members actually.
Okay.
This is kind of like a new movie because I introduced 99.9% new cast members, and I think people will love them. From the hitman to the chef, they are all unique characters. Like we've got two thoroughbred India people, two foreigners
Oh,
to come and actually act in the film. Yeah. So that
wow.
is why it's called Run for Your Life 3, the India connection. It's literally people from India, people from Pakistan who are actually acting in the
Oh,
film. So it's fantastic. It's really amazing. I was actually very blessed to get good cast members, and yeah, we had great people who were very enthusiastic to come on board, and they gave it their all. So I'm very proud of them.
oh, okay. Did you take any inspiration from real life events or other films while creating Run for Your Life 3?
Um, you see, I like a lot of comedy and I like a lot of twists in my films. So when I watch a film, I always say, "Hey, what if that would happen?"
Mm,
And that's how my stories get born because I always look at something and say,
okay.
and I ask myself, "What if?" You see. So that is how the story of Run for F3 was born. It's an original story. I didn't copy anything,
Mm,
but I just put it. Everything that I made up was basically to create drama, to create comedy, so that people will go in, entertained and enjoy watching it. Hopefully, they watch it more than once because that's how I make my films.
okay. The South African film industry is growing rapidly. How do you see Run for Your Life 3 contributing to this progress?
So that's a good question. I actually try to create as many opportunities as possible. Quite honestly, the South African film industry is not growing that rapidly,
Oh,
contrary to to many people thinking that. Because what's happening, you see, opportunities is the problem.
mm,
Not many people are actually making films, even with broadcast as well. It's actually dying down. If you look at our public broadcaster, they're financially bankrupt, so they're not going to be commissioning how can I say, programs and so forth. So that limits people's opportunities. Even people when they're making, or producers when they're making films, they don't even have the budgets. So
mm,
what I do is I try to make films. Granted, it's on a smaller budget. Like my films are so low budget. We call it shoestring budget. We don't even have the string. We got the shoe with no strings. So yeah, they are low budgets. It's self-funded because these are passion projects, and I
okay.
just love making films. So whatever films I do make, I try to open it up and give people an opportunity to say, "Listen, I had the opportunity growing up, to be part of a film production. But now that I can make a film, I actually give it out to the public as well. I say, listen, if you want to be a crew member, if you want to be an extra, if you want to be a lead cast, come and try out. I will give you the opportunity. That's all I can do. I can give you the opportunity, but you will have to take the, you got to take that first step. You got to take the initiative to say, fine, I'm going to chase my dream. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this. So, in terms of the South African film industry, we are still fledgling. We are very, very small. You know, we still got a long way to go, but I'm sure we will get there.
Okay. What message or theme do you hope audiences take away from the film?
Ah, that's a good question. I think the message is gambling is not good. So there is
Yeah.
some gambling there.
Hmm.
What I like to do is I always put something with money involved.
Okay.
So I'll give you a little insight. We've got these two characters. It is
Hmm.
Raj and Tanga, and these are like scoundrels because they don't really work. and they try and get their money sort of illegally. They go and gamble and that kind of stuff. So I would think, like, rather put in the work, do the hard work, and earn your money properly. That's one
Mm.
of the stories. There's many things you can take away from it. There's also a love story in there where you got this girl who has been hurt so badly by her boyfriend,
Oh.
and she doesn't want to hear about men ever again. Okay, but her entire mind changes when she sees this guy from India. She says she hates India guys because they are perverted and this and that and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But as soon as she sees this India guy and he's so handsome and he's like so different, he's like muscular and how can I say, because he's a hitman, she's just like drawn to him. She goes gaga over him. So it's like, love never closes. You never know where you're
Mm.
gonna find love. Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of themes to take away from it. I think when somebody watches it, they'll actually find out what the movie is all about.
Okay. Can we expect any major twists or surprises that will keep fans on the edge of their seats?
There's a major twist at the end. I'm so tempted to tell you, but I can't. But right at the end of the film, there is a major, 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 major twist. I'm very proud of it. This will spawn into a sequel, which is Run for Your Life, like the number
Okay.
4, right? That will
Okay.
be the final chapter. Yeah, that will be the final chapter in the series. But yeah, I'm proud of that twist. So I'm hoping we'll do that soon as well.
Okay, I think you kind of answered my final question that I was going to ask you, but I'll ask it anyway. What's next for you after Run for Your Life 3? Are there more sequels or new projects in the pipeline?
So I do have new projects. I've got a number of projects to do. As for the sequel to Run for Your Life, like I said, yes, there
Mm.
will be a part 4 to Run for Your Life.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I can't wait for everybody to see the twist in the end. It's going to be really crazy. I think people will probably roar in the cinema, and I'm hoping to get that reaction. But it's going to be really, really crazy. I'm excited about it. When I filmed that scene, I actually teared a little because it's
Oh,
so close to my heart. Yeah, it's a very nice twist. But as for new projects, I've got a lot of new projects. There's a few horror films as well
oh,
on the cards. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking for horror. It's not my
okay,
genre, but I can do it, and it's a
okay.
challenge. So I like a challenge, and I'll do the horror films.
Okay. All I gotta say is thanks so much for your time, and I hope to catch up with again, catch up with you again in the future.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you so much for having me on your channel, and have a great day, man. Thank you.
Likewise.